Hi everyone, it's Peanuts and welcome to my channel. Today in this video I'm going to share with you my experience taking the behind the wheel test or the road test or simply the drive test, the DMV or Department of Motor Vehicles in Yuba City, California. And I will also share with you the critical errors and the other errors that I made while I was taking the drive test, so that you will avoid those errors and you will not fail your drive test like me. But before anything else, I would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. 1 year after I passed the driving knowledge test online through the MV Proctor, I finally decided to take the behind the wheel test. And I'm not sure why it took me so long to finally decide to take the behind the wheel test or the drive test. I'm not sure, maybe I was not ready. But 2 weeks ago, I realized that my instructional permit was expiring. The first year anniversary was last January 19, 2023. So last week or 2 weeks ago, I went online to make an appointment with the DMV or Department of Motor Vehicles in Yuba City, California to take the behind the wheel test. And if it's your first time to make an appointment with the DMV online, I'm going to show you how to make an appointment right now. So this is so easy. You just go online and type DMV appointment, and then you just click on schedule appointment DMV. Then the next thing that you need to do is you choose the vehicle. So I chose automobile, and so it depends on the vehicle that you are going to drive. And then there is a part here where you can enter your driver's license or permit number that is located in your instructional permit, and then you have to enter your date of birth and then click make an appointment. Then after you click make an appointment, you can choose the office the office of the DMV where you want to take your driving test or behind the wheel test. And my Yuba City is not in the option, so I could type in the zip code and then the city or the office where you want to take your driving test or behind the wheel test will appear. And after that, you can choose a date when you want to take your driving test or behind the wheel test, and then you can choose the time. And after choosing the time, you can click confirm. And if you already have a DMV account, they are going to send the confirmation email on your email, or you can choose to receive the confirmation through your phone through text message. So I was able to make an appointment with the DMV in Yuba City, California, and I was scheduled to take the behind the wheel test or the drive test last January 18th, and that was 1 day before my instructional permit would expire, and my scheduled drive test was at 2 in the afternoon. And so we drove to Yuba City at the DMV, and we arrived there at 1 o'clock, and I tried to check in, but it told me that check-in is 20 minutes before the scheduled time for my drive test. And so we waited for 40 minutes, and finally we were able to check in. So during the check-in, they asked for the car insurance, the proof of purchase, my instructional permit, and they also asked for the driver's license of the person who accompanied me to the DMV. And after they'd seen all the important documents, they asked me to scan my right thumb, and then they gave me back the instructional permit. The examiner handed me the evaluation score sheet, and she asked me to read it and sign it. And then after I signed the evaluation score sheet, she started asking the controls and the features of the car. I couldn't take a video of the entire drive test, but here is the audio recording of the part where the examiner asked me about the features and controls of the car.
Hi, my name's Ivy. I'm going to be your examiner today. Can I see your paperwork? Thank you. Give me a moment. Okay, go ahead and read the top of the score sheet for me. Sign your name by that X once you're done. Thank you. Okay, so this part of the evaluation is just to see if you can locate certain controls to make sure the vehicle is safe, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead and turn on your left turn signal. Do you know where your emergency brake is?
It's here.
Okay, go ahead and turn it on. And back off. Can you demonstrate your arm signals and tell me what they mean?
It's right, left, and stop or slow.
And can you point to your windshield wiper controls? Thank you. Your defroster controls? Your headlight controls?
Headlight.
Okay, and then your emergency or hazard light. Perfect. Okay, so today you'll be evaluated on your ability to drive safely and skillfully in different driving situations, make any lane changes necessary to follow my directions, and perform all maneuvers when safe.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? Okay, I'm going to give you instructions with my voice as well as with my hands. If I don't say turn right or turn left, just continue straight, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to get in. Okay, whenever you're ready, we're going to exit the parking lot.
I am not sure if it's the same in all the DMV offices in the entire state or the entire US, but there are 19 items in the pre-drive checklist, and they are the driver window, windshield, rear view mirrors, turn signals, brake lights, tires, foot brake, horn, emergency or parking brake, arm signals, windshield wipers, defroster, emergency flasher, headlights, passenger door, glove box, seat belts, head restraint, and the automated technology. Depending on your examiner, they might or might not ask you to point out all the items mentioned in the pre-drive checklist, but they're gonna ask you the items number 9 to 14, and you should not make an error more than 3, and you should not make more than 3 errors, otherwise that is an automatic fail. While driving and parking, you should not make any of the 8 critical errors, otherwise you will automatically fail your drive test. Here are the 8 critical errors that you need to avoid. Intervention by the examiner, strikes object or curb, disobeys traffic sign or signal, disobeys safety personnel or safety vehicles, dangerous maneuver, speed, auxiliary equipment use, and lane violation. And here's the result of my test. You notice that the examiner marked lane violation under critical error, and that is the main reason why I failed my driving test. I was not even aware that I had a lane violation. I did not remember how it happened and which street or road we were on when I made that error. While driving, I thought I would pass. I thought that it was easy. The only thing I remember is running the yellow light, which was about to turn red. But I was able to cross the street before the traffic light turned red. And while driving, I thought out loud and I said, "Oops, I run the yellow light." And I know that I was able to cross the street before it finally turned right. But after the drive test, the examiner told me that if I wasn't sure that I would be able to cross the yellow light, then I should stop. I also wrote signal at least 100 feet before turns. I thought I was doing it correctly. I turned on my signal lights for every turn except for one time when I was turning left, when she asked me to turn left, and I forgot to turn on my left signal, and I just remembered that when I was about to turn left, so I turned on my left signal, but it was too late. Other than that, that was the only error I remember about turning the signal lights, but maybe the examiner noticed errors that I was not aware of. Another thing that she wrote in the comment is check over the shoulder before entering or exiting the bike lane. I know that I must do that, and I knew that I was doing that, but I think I didn't emphasize it enough that the examiner didn't notice that I was looking over my shoulder every time I turn right or I turn left, or every time I change lane. Going back to the critical error, which was the main reason why I failed my behind the wheel test. After the behind the wheel test, or after my drive test, we drove and followed the exact same route for the behind the wheel test so that I could see the lane that the examiner was talking about. And so I realized that I really did this mistake or error. It was in a residential area, and the examiner asked me to turn left. We were about 200 feet away when she told me to turn left. Right away, I turned my left signal on, and maybe about 50 feet before turning left, I went to the oncoming traffic lane. So we were on this road, 200 meters away. She told me to turn left on the next street, which is the Chinese way. I was driving straight, and at about 100 feet, I turned my left signal on, but at the same time, I started to change lanes. I think it's because I didn't see any car on the other lane that I forgot that was a lane for oncoming traffic, and I changed lane immediately before turning left instead of staying on this right lane and yielding here before making a left turn. So that was the main reason why I failed my driving test. After the test, the examiner gave me the comments and told me the reasons why I failed the driving test, and she told me that I could reschedule my driving test anytime I want or any day I want. But I told her that my instructional permit would be expiring the next day. So she went with me inside the DMV office and talked to the scheduler and explained my situation, and she told the scheduler that she could make an extra time for me to take the test again the next day. So luckily I was able to get another slot for the next day on January 19th at 11 a.m. and I had to pay $8 for the retake. So the next day on January 19th, that was the expiration date of my instructional permit, I took the retest and luckily I passed. We took the same route, but there was one thing that the examiner asked me to do, which she did not make me do during my first driving test. The only things that the examiner asked me to do during my first driving test was driving in business, rural, or residential areas, changing lanes, turns, and intersections. But on my second driving test, she made me do the backing, and that is you park next to a curb and then you stop, and then you have to back up. While I was doing the backing, I made sure that I looked over my shoulder. I overemphasized it so that the examiner would notice that I was looking over my shoulder. So my left hand on the wheel and my right hand on the back of my seat, and I was doing like that while backing, so that she would notice that I was really doing it. I know that there are some drivers in everyday drive when they do the everyday driving and they do the parking or backing, they just look at the screen or the, what do you call that, in front of your car, or the rear view mirror without looking behind or looking back when they're backing, because they've been doing this for a long time and they are really professional. But when you are taking the driving test, you make sure that you look over your shoulder. When you are backing, you have to overemphasize it if you need to, so that the examiner would notice that you are doing the right thing. I was doing that. I did not turn off my signal light because I don't remember. I wasn't sure if I had to turn off or keep the signal light turned on. But after the test, the examiner told me that I should have turned my signal light off, but she also told me that it wasn't really a big deal. I am so glad that she did not ask me to do parallel parking, although I practiced many times for that. I was not confident that I could do the parallel parking when I did the drive test. I was driving an SUV. I was driving a Ford SUV, and I feel so confident driving that on the road, but I'm not confident parking it, especially in between cars, because it's too big for me. So luckily, she didn't ask me to do parallel parking. Before I end this video, I would like to give you some tips when taking the behind the wheel test. So before you take the behind the wheel test or your drive test, make sure that you get enough rest, you get enough sleep. I tried to, but I couldn't sleep well at night before I took my drive test, and even on the second attempt, because I was constipated, and so that affected my judgment and concentration. I did not get enough sleep or enough rest at night before I took my behind the wheel test. Maybe because I was too anxious, or maybe I was too nervous. Make sure that you go to the DMV office 20 minutes before your scheduled test drive or behind the wheel test, so that you have time to check in and they have time to verify your documents. I already explained to you, I already mentioned all the documents that you need to bring with you when you take the behind the wheel test on the first part of this video. And if you forgot, I'm going to include the list on the description below, so make sure to check them out. When driving in a traffic light turns yellow and you are not sure that you'll be able to make it before it turns red, just stop. Do not attempt to speed up, just so you can make it before it turns red. Otherwise, it's a violation of speed limit. Speaking of speed limits, make sure that you follow the posted speed limits. Even if the cars behind you are too fast, ignore them. Even if they're honking at you, never mind them. Just follow the speed limit. I know that in everyday driving there are drivers, especially the professional drivers, especially those people who have been driving many years already. They can go 5 or 10 over the posted speed limit, but when you are taking the driving test, make sure that you follow the posted limit. On stops, make sure that you can see the lines. I know that in everyday driving, some drivers don't follow this rule, but when you're doing the driving test, again, make sure that you follow this rule. Don't make sure that when you're stopping, make sure that you can see the lines in front of you. I got marks on that because I was confused, maybe because I was a little bit nervous and anxious. When you look over your shoulder when turning left or right, or when you are changing lanes, make sure that you emphasize it, or make sure you overemphasize it. Do not just do this, because that's what I did during my first driving test. So I made sure that the examiner noticed that I was looking over my shoulders when I took my retest. So I had to do it. You have to overemphasize if needed. Those are the only tests that I can think of for now, but if you have comments, if you have questions, just write them down below. And also, if you are living around the area and you are planning to take the behind the wheel test or the drive test at the DMV in Yuba City, California, I have something for you. So I can show you the route. Message me on my Facebook page or my Instagram. I'm going to include the links in the description below, but make sure that you subscribe to my channel before you do that, and I can share with you the route for the driving test at the DMV in Yuba City, California. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and if you're planning to take the behind the wheel test or the drive test, good luck to you. I will see you again on my next videos. I hope I was able to help you. Bye bye.